Hi class, I hope you're doing well. And last week I asked you to read those slides, which is a remedial activity, and actually practice and write some program. I did not ask to submit it, but anyway, I hope you all were able to practice with those major topics, and in case you missed something, you had time to review. This is very important because all those topics we are going to see in this course, but a little bit more advanced probably. So if you are not familiar with basics of those topics, please let me know. We will go over it again and schedule individual office hours with me, because you have to be comfortable with those topics. I gave you two different remedial activities, and for the first part I asked you to create an array, to populate it with random numbers, then to find probably sum of all elements and average. And of course, I gave you explanation, and please, if you still haven't read it, please do. It's very important. I hope I will never see those errors in your code ever again. So let's see. And for the next part, I asked you to read a file. First of all, you had to create your own numbers.txt file, which would be looking something like this. Read the file and store the values into array. Then print the elements of the array, calculate the sum and average of the array. And of course, you need to write all your results into new results.txt file. I hope all of you were able to do it, because obviously it's just review what you learned in previous Java course. But if you have any questions, please let me know. And now I'm going to go over some of the tasks. I'm not going to cover everything in this video, especially that I already gave you explanation on how to calculate sum, average, how to print array. So basically I just want to focus on how to populate array from the file. And this is very important to understand. It's very important to know. So let's do it. So let's write this program, which will read my number.txt file and store it in the array. And I already have my numbers.txt file on my desktop, and it's the same location with my Java files. And it's very important. If they are in different locations, you need to provide the entire path in case you want your program to reach that file. And here I put some notes for you, so you can see. Maybe you want to take screenshot, or hopefully you already know this. I mean, you are supposed to know this. So first, we know we are going to work with files. That's why we need to import two libraries. I'm going to import Java util scanner, And you remember you want this library because you want to use scanner. Why do you want to use scanner when you work with files? Because you want to use scanners methods which is next line and has next. And next library we are going to import is Java IO. And you remember I told you IO stands for input and output. And file is what? Input and output. So please use this library. And to be more detailed, you would need to use file library or IO exception library. But I'm going to import the entire package. I think it's just easier to do this. So, of course, my class name, RemidialActivity 2, and we can start main method. Public static void main string args. And here what you should know that we are going to throw IO exception. And in Java 1 course I told you just memorize it. When you work with files you need to throw IO exception. And also I told you that in CS2 course we are going to learn more about exceptions, and it's going to happen in a couple weeks, so be patient. And yeah, for now just memorize it. Throws IO exception. Why do we need this exception? Because if file doesn't exist, for example, it will throw your program will not crash. It just throw an exception that file not found and so on. You don't want your program to be crashed, so that's why we need this exception. So next, we are going to create scanner object. I'm going to name it input, new scanner, and new file object, and file name is numbers.txt. numbers.txt. So you remember I didn't provide any path here just because my files, my Java files and my numbers.txt are located in the same directory. That's why. So what we are going to do next? First, remember, to be able to go through the entire file, we need while loop. While input has next, and then we are going to do something inside while loop. So what it actually means? While my file, which is numbers.txt, so while numbers.txt has next line, please do something with this line. So in our case, what we are going to do, we are going to read, we need some placeholder for values, and they are integers. So I'm going to create integer number, input, next, integer. You remember we use next integer when we want to store integers. So next integer. For strings, it's next line. For doubles, it's next double, and so on. And of course, we needed to store it in the array. But what we are missing? Of course, we need to create an array of integers. Which is new integer. And here, you remember we need to specify size of the array. So how do I know what size is this? And I told you, the first line of the file is at how much elements your array is going to be. It indicates how many elements in my file. So can I put 10 here? I mean, I could, but not really. So I don't want to do this. First of all, I want it to be more efficient and not that hard-coded. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to read just first line of the code, and I will name it total. First line of the code and store it here. So how do we read first line of the file? Sorry, not the code, but file. How do we read it? First, I'm going to create total. And then it's the same, but it's not just inside the while loop, it's outside, because we don't want we want just to read one single line of the file. So it's going to be input next integer. So that's how we read it, and we put it as size of our array. That's where we specify size of the array. Okay, how we can store all those numbers in array which we just created. So array at some position equals number. So what position is it going to be? What index? All of them, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and so on. So let's see. Of course, we need to create integer index. We initialize it with 0. Why? Because here inside while loop, when we store numbers into our array with each iteration, we store it at array at position index. You remember we always need to use indexes, right? Positions. Are we done here? No. Why not? Because we never update our index. So you need to update index plus plus. And that's it. That's how we read our file and store it in the array. And just let's prove it. Here, not here, sorry. Here I'm going to create a method. Public static void print. I want to print my array to see if it worked or no. This method will take, let me see, array of integers as a parameter, and just will print the entire array. And of course, we know how to print an array. We need to use for loop. We start with 0 because we want to print all the positions from position 0 to the last position. And last position is array that length. Array that length, and we want to update. We want to go through the entire array, so it's I++, which is I plus 1, which we need to go through all the positions one by one. And system it doesn't work here. System out print line, and remember we are going to print array at position I. Just I'm going to give some space here. For loop. So let's see if it works. And somewhere here in main method, what I'm going to do, I'm going to call my print method with parameter array. Let's see what's going to happen. I'm going to compile my program. Then I'm going to run it. And here's my array. 2, 3. Actually, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, but that's fine. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. And you can see it's the same values. So I actually was able to store them into array and then print it. Of course, you still need to find sum, and then you need to find average and print it into the file. I'm going to show you very quick how to write it into the file. I don't know what to write. Let's find some of the array. I'm not going to explain you how to do it because I already did in previous solution for remedial activity 1. So I'm just going to do it very quick because my point is to show you how to write those results or some result into the file. So public static integer sum, which take in array of integer as a parameter, just our for loop. But inside of for loop, how we can find sum, integer sum. I will name it find sum. Actually, integer sum, initialize with 0. Okay, it's already complaining because I do not return anything. So return sum, and here sum equals sum plus array at each position, which is array at position I. So I'm not going to print my find sum method. I'm not going to print my sum into the console. What I'm going to do, I'm going to write this result into a new file which I'm going to name results.txt, and I'm going to do it here in main method. So print writer, and I'm not going to explain it again any deep, because I already gave you this lecture. It was in the slides, and if you clicked, you could see the video of explanation how to write files in Java. So print writer and some name. You create a print writer object. It's very similar, but instead of scanner, we use a print writer. Again, new file, and name of the file is results.txt. And now it's very similar how you print anything to your console. In this time we don't use system out, we use name of your print writer. So print line, and now we can print anything to the file, but I'm interested in sum. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to call my find sum method, this method, with parameters, with one parameter array. Actually, what else I can do, I can say the sum is something like this. And of course we need to close print writer. Remember, we always need to close it. Let me compile it, and let me run it. Now I'm going to my desktop here, and here's a file, results.txt. I open it, and the sum is 61. Interesting. So let me know if you have any questions about this. Of course, you still had to write average method and to put more results into your file. But again, I'm not going to go through this again, because I already posted that solution. So, but if you still have questions about files or how to store values from the file into the array, please let me know.